What's good? God is good. I'm your host, Jay Did It. Welcome to Thursday Therapies, a podcast for all creatives, writers, rappers, poets, artists, activists, Sacramento Community Therapy Session. Today we have Reese, a Cleveland, Ohio native, currently residing in Oakland, California, whose journey blends faith, curiosity, and creative expression. Raised in a deeply religious household, he developed a worldview rooted in God's Word while navigating his own questions and perspectives. Originally on a path toward law, a life-changing experience working with youth redirected him into education and mentorship, later serving as a youth therapist for 6 years. Through poetry performed across the U.S. for over 15 years, he now does music. Reese channeled personal struggles, growth, resilience into art that speaks to hope and healing. His work reflects authenticity, depth, and purpose, encouraging others to confront challenges and embrace their full identity. With a voice like a cool uncle offering wisdom without judgment, he uses every performance and both expression and therapy, inspiring listeners to expect more from themselves and the voices that they follow. Welcome to Thursday Therapies.
Welcome. Thank you.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Chilling.
Good. Thank you for coming. You came all the way from Oakland. I really appreciate that. That's dope. How was your ride over here?
You know, it has some complications. At some point, I had to get some charge from my car, and I went and pulled over, and it was like something was on fire on the highway.
Oh, wow.
So it pushed us back a little bit. I was on regular CP time, but I was on extra CP time this time on accident. But
it
was good. It was a smooth ride. Everything was good. Listened to some good beats on the way.
Nice.
Found a friend.
Okay.
And
I like that.
and came through.
That's dope. That's dope. I'm glad you made it here safe. I'm glad you made it here safe. Well, thank you for coming to Thursday Therapies. As you know, this is a podcast bringing awareness to mental health. I know that you're an artist. You've been doing poetry for 15 years.
Yeah.
You are deeply rooted in mental health, and I appreciate you for being on this show. And I just want to get to know you deeper, your deeper journey, and let the world know who you are.
For sure.
Ask you some questions and go from there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All good.
Sounds like a great use of a Sunday.
Nice.
Or whatever day it is.
Right, any day.
Thursday
Therapies. It's all good. We pre-recorded, don't matter. It's all good. So, what was it like growing up in Cleveland?
I really feel like having lived in multiple cities that Cleveland gave me such a great foundation. It's a place where community is a lot. I grew up in a neighborhood where pretty much everybody looked like me. Mm. Well, I was light skinned, but everybody was black. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I didn't really experience a whole lot of like bullying or see a lot of bullying. I saw a lot of people lifting each other up. It's hard to be bullies when you're from a city that has the Cleveland Browns and the Cavs and all that. Like, you learn to be nice to people because you need to cross your fingers and hope that your team does well. So Cleveland is a really good place. It's loyal. It teaches you how to love people. It teaches you how to be your own person and not hate on people. And it's given me like such a great foundation as I've navigated the rest of the country and other states and other cities.
Nice.
Like, just a great way to conceptualize life.
Nice.
It was just me and my mom. I'm an only child, single mom. And we didn't have much, but I felt like I didn't really realize how little we had until I really got towards like college and stuff like that. And seeing how hard she worked to get me into the positions that she got me into, it just teaches me every day about how to sacrifice and how to work hard and how to put, like things off to the side and think about work first. Right. So it's taught me a lot.
Right.
For sure.
So how did your religious upbringing shape your worldview today?
It's interesting because I played a lot of sports growing up. Like, I was baseball, basketball, and football. And I remember, like, I would come home from games that we lost or something, and I'd talk to my grandfather, who was my guy. And I'd be like, man, we lost, like, in overtime or something. And he'd be like, oh, that reminds me of Second Hezekiah. And I was like, what? Like, they weren't playing basketball back then, but he would always have some type of a lesson that would be wrapped in some sort of like biblical teaching or scripture, which would ground me often because I would remember that life is bigger than these moments. Right. It would be about something more than that. It would be tough though because I'm a Capricorn, so I'm a very logical kind of like, structured thinker. And sometimes when it's like, something good, give it to God. Something bad, give it to God. Right. You want something, give it to God. You need something, give it to God. Like, it's like a lot of that would be hard for me sometimes to conceptualize because I'm like, I don't know how that applies to here in this moment. So I would have some battles with my folks about like just sort of their views and my views and how we got things to put together. And, overall, I would say like I really enjoyed being challenging because I'm pretty challenging in life. But I think like it was good because I think for them they learned something and I learned something at the same time.
When did you first start questioning your worldview?
I don't know. I mean, my earliest memories are me challenging things. But what I would like to say is, when things don't make sense to me, I ask questions, right. And that's still to this day.
Right.
And I think that it's been a habit that I've had since I was a kid. And I just remember in church, we're talking about tithes and offerings, and you're giving money to the church, and the church is supposed to help you get these things back. And I would kind of wonder the structure of that. Like, how do they know what percentages people are supposed to pay? What if you don't have it, what are you supposed to do? Like, right. And I think like those questions would lead me to have like this kind of like show it to me or like prove it to me sort of like mindset, which would be like, I understand what you're telling me, but I actually want to be able to see it myself. And I think like to this day, like that's just how my mind works. So I'm probably like 5 or 6 in church, and I can give you a perfect example. When I was a kid, I used to go trick-or-treating, but for whatever reason, like, I don't know, my mom would let me go trick-or-treating, but I couldn't watch Harry Potter. But so I would go trick-or-treating in that, but I never ate the candy. And I'm like, I would go to school, the kids would be, I ate all my candy. I'm like, y'all eat y'all candy? She's like, well, my mom make me give it to the kids at church. Like, and it's like, oh, why is she doing that? Because, it might be like she don't trust the neighbors. People might have put something in it, or, things would be weird. But it just made me think like, oh, like, well, why do we do this? Like, why can't I eat this candy? I worked hard for this. I had to walk. These little kids ain't do nothing. Why they get my candy? Like, So it would make me challenge a lot of things. And, grateful to her because I've never actually had a cavity in my life before, knock on wood. Knock on something. But it would just be like, that was an early memory that I could really remember, like a core memory of like, why don't I get to eat my own candy that I worked hard for? Like, you get to the one house that might give out the king size ones, and I ain't get them either.
Not even one?
Not even one.
Wow.
I couldn't even get a Tootsie Roll.
Oh, man. But shout out to Mom. You ain't had no cavities. That's great. Yeah, sugar is pretty bad for you.
No braces, no nothing.
No braces. Oh, yeah, got nice.
You feel me? Shout out to Moms.
Shout out to Moms. But, okay. So, when did you ever feel misunderstood in your household?
Oh. All the time?
All the time.
Mean, I think with my mom is a hard worker. So growing up, I actually spent a whole bunch of time by myself. Like, she had me, it's past the statute of limitations, but she had me at home by myself when I was probably like 7 years old. Like, I had to figure out how to make my own food and do my own stuff. And I think that made me have a lot of time to think for myself or think on my own. And it was like a lot of those moments I would spend really like kind of crafting what I believed in or what I thought or what I felt. And I know, again, like when I was little, I would just be, I don't like this. Tell me, why are we doing this? Like, we saying grace before we got the food here. We waiting on everybody to come in. I'm hungry. Why can't I eat? Why we got to say grace? Why can't I say my own grace? Why we got to say it as a group? Like, and I think like, again, everybody had these very communal sort of like we just do this because that's what we're supposed to do. Like this is just who we are. This is just what we're about. And I would always be like, but why? Who we get this from? Who we learn this from?
Yeah.
If that person's not alive anymore, why don't we do it this way? Why are we doing it that way? Like I just remember as a kid, like I would just question everything.
Everything. You weren't conforming to the norm.
Never. I never have. I probably never will.
Right. That's all right though. That's
Yeah.
all right. You know, you made your way.
Appreciate it.
That's we need free spirits and people who question life.
Right.
You know, that's what it's about. That's what life is about.
For sure.
You know?
And it's not necessarily me, like, you know how somebody says why all the time, why, like, you know how them kids. It wasn't like that. It was literally like, well, we do it this way because, you know, back in great grandma we would do this, and I'm like, yeah, but they didn't even have this type of table.
Right.
They didn't even have these type of parties. We didn't have TV. They didn't have, you know.
Right. You want a deeper understanding.
It would be logical.
Yeah.
It wouldn't just like be just to say it. Like it
Right.
would always be like for a purpose, like behind it somehow.
Right.
So,
That part.
Absolutely.
So when did you realize that your path wasn't law?
Okay. So this is a cool story. It was the summer right before my senior year of high school. Everything since I was probably about 8 years old until 16, 17, I told myself that I was going to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a defense attorney. I wanted to be like Johnny Cochran, you feel me? Like, yo to the breast. But I wanted to help innocent people who were charged and stop them from getting convicted of something. That was just my thought process.
Nice.
I used to love this show growing up called The Practice. It was like my favorite show. So I took this job working in the park in my neighborhood, and it was cool because we'd go to the park. I would hoop every day. Like I learned how to play spades. I learned how to play poker. Like we would play dominoes, but it would be days where like my high school friends would come up and we would do all of that stuff. We had the water cooler because it'd be in the 90s. It'd be good. It was a nice summer vibe. But then there would be days where it was slow, or it would be like earlier on where maybe my friends weren't there and little kids would come to the park. It was swing sets and play sets and everything, so they would come. But other times we would play games with the kids, and I just remember like playing like Monopoly and like Sorry with some of the kids, and they would like roll like a 7 or like a, you know, something like that. And okay, they like 1, 2, and I'm competitive, so I don't care who I'm playing against. Like I'm trying to win. So I'm like 3, 4, motherfucker. Like what you doing? Like hurry up. Like I'm trying to go. It's my turn. And I'm realizing they don't know how to count. Like they can't even count to 7. So I'm over here like, what grade is y'all in? And they like 3rd grade, 4th grade, and I'm like, what? Like how y'all get to that grade not being able to count to 7? And I just remember because like school was always real easy for me, so it wasn't necessarily like I didn't have a great level of empathy with people who struggled as learners, because for me, like I just didn't have any counter perspective of my own. I would be in my AP classes with my friends and my homies who I played sports with and who I, you know, kicked it with, who was also popular kids, and we would not struggle in school. So I didn't have like a whole bunch of understanding of like what it would be like for somebody to be like in a special ed track, or like, you know, have accommodations or modifications to their stuff. So I'm not thinking about it that way. I'm like, yo, count, like what you doing? And then over time it kind of like struck me, and I'm like, okay, I need to think about this. How do I feel about this? This is like important to me. And I would over time like soften my stance and be like, no, okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now you count it out. And I ain't got no education, no training, and none of this. Like I'm just trying to do it kind of how like I remember it was being done for me when I was a kid. But it came down to I went to Miami University in Ohio. Shout out to Red Hawks. We just did great this year.
Shout out to Red Hawks.
So I remember it was time for me to declare my major, and I was going to do pre-law, but I was going to do like, I forget what I was going to do, like human behaviors or something like that. I can't even remember. But I was like, oh, well, what if I wanted to do a double major in pre-law and education? And they was like, well, you're going to have to be here for 6 years. And I'm like, damn, like that's a long time. And they said, well, you need to pick one. And I decided to go with education, and I got my bachelor's in early childhood education, strictly and solely off of that experience growing up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever regret it, or do you ever look back and?
Hell yeah. When I check my pocketbook, I could have been doing something much differently. But as the research helped me as well, because I realized that 90% of cases as a defense attorney you settle, and of those 10% that you do try, about 90% of them are guilty. Right. So it's like you working with 1% of all your total cases that you're actually fighting for the person who really didn't do it. So I'm like 99% of the time I'm either not like feeling it, or it's not really something that I'm going to be proud of after the fact. So I think it helps me also define my search parameters of like, what do I see myself doing in life? And, again, I could have a lot more money in my pocket, but I think like the work that I do every day is very rewarding. It's challenging in a different way. Right. And I feel like the fulfillment that I get out of it has like pushed me in a different direction, just like personally on the inside.
That's beautifully said. I love that. I love that. Do you feel like God directed you to make the change?
I hope so.
I hope so.
I can't call it, because I don't know if at that time I was getting, like directly, like I wasn't like praying and getting the affirmation through like divine intervention or something like that. It was really just my spirit was settling and softening and telling me. And I think like a lot of that has to be God, like for real. But I don't know if it was like a direct pathway from like what I was hearing to what I did. Like it just worked out that way.
So what did that moment with the kids at the park do for you?
I think it gave me purpose.
Right.
I think for real, like I wanted to be an athlete. Like I was really gifted in sports, and I got size like that would have been beneficial. But I think in a lot of ways I wasn't very coachable. Like I was nice, and I think like because I was nice, like I think that it led to me thinking like I was better without work than I would be with additional work. And I think it just didn't push me enough to do well. And then when I had that moment, like everything's sorted out since I was 8 years old. Everything is there, here. This is what you're gonna do. This is what law school you're gonna go to. This is what type of law you're gonna practice. Where you gonna get a firm, like. And in that moment, again, playing sorry, like I love sorry. Like shout out to Hasbro or Milton Patel, whatever, whoever make that. That little game on that one day, it just really like shifted so much for me, just in terms of like not about me, not solely, I mean, some about me, but like not just about me. And I think it just made me just have like a different worldview. And it just gave me direction in a way that I'd never been convicted to move in before.
Nice. Yeah. So how did that experience challenge your purpose?
I think it just made me think deeper about like why I was doing things. Like I was doing things because this very specific narrow version of what I was telling myself about this job, like this job is going to help me to free the innocent people in the world, and it's a very benign like proposition for the rest of the work that I'm going to be doing. And it's like a lot of that work is going to be defending people who don't deserve defense. Like, obviously everybody does, like innocent until proven guilty, but I feel like the main thing for me is I wanted to keep my energy clear. And that's why it's like, again, the work is necessary, and it's great that there are people here who are doing that for folks who need that support and that defense. But I think for me, it just resonated differently when I got a chance to say I'm gonna go in a different direction.
Right.
For sure.
That's what's up. So I'm gonna switch gears.
Okay.
When did you experience grief that changed you?
Yeah. Okay. So it intertwines a lot, because the grief took me right into my creative journey. And I remember in my English 111 class that I took as a freshman in college, which is like the base level English, I had a professor who had told me to write a poem. And at that time, I had just dealt with my own issues, like with grief. Like I had a cousin who her mom passed away, and then she moved in with our other cousin who was like kind of like an aunt to me. So that's her big cousin, my big cousin. But then she passed away. You can hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gotta charge these. But and then I had a cousin. That cousin passed away, and she moved in with our other cousin, and her husband passed away. So she was dealing with all of that around her at the time, and she was just like a preteen or like an early teenager. And then I had a friend who I went to high school with who was getting off the bus, and he got hit by a car and killed one day. Oh. And then my cousin, one of his close homies, like had passed away around that time too. So it was just a lot of death just around me. So I wrote this poem. It was like 5 minutes, not 5 minutes, it was like 5 pages. And I just like, wrote it and typed it all up. And I remember my professor might have asked us for like a page, and I just gave him all of that. And it was not polished in any way, but it was like just cathartic. It just helped me to get all of what I was dealing with and going through out of my system. And I remember I actually performed it at this this like spoken word event. And it was hella depressing. Like, it was sad as fuck. Like, and people was like, they had to like kind of say, oh, you only got 5 minutes. Like, you got to kind of get off the stage. Because I was just talking. I was just venting. I was crying. I was like doing all of this stuff while I was performing it. And it was my first real experience with poetry. And it was ass, but it was from the heart. Right. Like, and I feel like that was my first moment of like real grief. Like, wow. Blessings, like, knock on everything. I haven't lost any of my peoples that are like close to me or anything like that to this point. So I don't know how I'm going to feel when those things happen. Right. But it just really opened the door for like a different form of expression that I had never done before.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's similar to something that happened to me too. Like, after my mom passed away, I wrote my first poem in 2023, and I've been writing ever since. Oh, wow. And it's just so freeing. I'm sorry to be able to do that. Thank you. No, Thank you very much. Thank you. So, what kept you committed to poetry for the first 15 years?
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna get into that. So at first, when I first wrote my first poem, I didn't have a whole lot of guidance or structure behind it, but it really made me start to seek out, poetry. And I remember watching like Def Poetry Jam, like, or just like going to other like slam poetry events that were happening, and I just saw how other people would do it, and I was like, like I could do that too. And I would write stuff, and I would talk about like love, and I would talk about like relationships, and I would talk about like it was a lot about girls, like, I ain't gonna lie. So yeah. I wrote a lot of poetry. I would put it on like my Facebook just back in the day, and I would tag a whole bunch of people and say, listen to this and give me your feedback. And over time I just got better and better and better at it. And people would give me affirmations. I would be invited to be in different competitions, and nice. I did like some pageants and stuff. Like, in poetry was my talent. Like, it was interesting.
That's dope.
But it was just a current, like, it was like something I fell into, and it just felt like it was just meant for me based off of how I was doing at it. And I wasn't necessarily doing it with a lot of substance or a lot of depth at that time, but over time it just became way, way more comfortable to me, and it helped me to express myself publicly to a point where I never really feared it, like, in a lot of ways, like some other people would. Yeah. So it was getting positive feedback and affirmation, but then at the same time it was like I started to do like more internal work and feel like it was actually helping me on the inside.
That's dope. Yeah. That's dope. So when did you decide to pivot into music?
So shout out to my homie James.
Shout out James.
That's my dog. He was doing work with he is still to this day, does work with this studio in Oakland, and he was like, I just started working with them. If y'all want to do some stuff, going to the booth or whatever, like, let me know. And I was kind of like, I was a little disheartened by poetry at that time. Like, I felt like I had done a whole bunch. I had been on teams, I had done competitions, I had won money and prizes. And Oakland has a really good poetry scene. But I think it came after I lived in San Diego, which had like a really, really fire, like, poetry scene. Shout out to Black Expression. And I would go there every week, and I would just feel inspired and inspired and inspired. And it was a collective, so it wasn't like prizes, it wasn't anything like that. But I would feel inspired based off of everybody else's. And then when I got to Oakland, I would do competitions, and I didn't love the feeling of it being competitive because I'm not enjoying it anymore. I'm listening to people's stuff, and I'm saying, oh, they messed up on that word. Like, my stuff is gonna be better if I don't mess up on no words, or that shit wasn't better than mine. Like, why, how they win and I ain't win? Wow. Like, you know, like it changed my perspective of what I was there for. And I had lost a little bit of that kind of like sizzle that I was feeling when I was doing it. So when he brought up that opportunity, I'm like, you know what, I could just throw some bars out. You know, I got bars, I could flow, I could do my thing. Right. So from there, I went into the booth and I made a whole mixtape and I dropped it. So first time I went into the studio for myself specifically was January 1st, 2024. Shout out to B-Pat. And that was the first time I did it. And I got the tracks back, and and shout out to G, shout out to O, shout out to Q, my homies. They helped me film a video for every song on my first mixtape. And you know, it wasn't like big budget. Like, we did literally 6 videos in one day. Like, we filmed them all, and they all had different vibes and different like atmospheres and essences and whatnot. I don't know if them the right words, but
they sound good.
But we did all of that in one day, and it just was like, man, this is cool. Like, this is a cool time. Like, and I remember I had a mixtape release party. It was on 420. Shout out 420. And I remember I was playing the videos, and my girl at the time was watching the videos, and I had people over. We were smoking bud and just chilling, and I'm listening to myself like, this is supposed to be hype, and I'm hearing the tracks, and I'm like, I ain't talking about shit right now. Like, I was just rapping. I'm talking about taking people girlfriends and rapidy raps. I wasn't talking about shooting nobody. I ain't no gang member now. I don't believe in violence. But so it's like it was cool that I was doing it, but it didn't really matter that much to me. And then it was like, once I watched some videos, it was like, this is cool. But I fell in love with the direction that I go in if I actually put more vulnerability behind the music, and that's what's kept me going to this day.
That's right. That's right. How does your music reflect your real life challenges?
Yeah, I think
now.
I think I do these freestyles, and in my freestyles I really try to touch on a lot of different subjects, and I think from that it's given me way more like, I can get into political stuff, I can get into my histories, I can get into my trauma, I can get into my wishes, I can get into my faults. And I think that's given me such freedom and expression. So as I'm getting ready now to start putting out my original music that's not like me just rapping over somebody else's stuff, I'm finding myself way more comfortable and confident in talking about anything. Like, I can talk about, you know, very, very bad and troubling and shitty things that have happened to me in my life the same way I could talk about good things and positive things. And it just feels like who I am comes out on the track. Like, my authenticity, my genuineness, like, all of that really flows properly as I wanted to, and that's something that I didn't have like when I first started. So it's giving me like just reps. Like, it's like, you know, you shoot, you know, you might have struggled from one spot on the court, but if you shoot 100 shots from there every day, it's like, how many days until you start to feel comfortable from that same spot?
Yeah, that good growth.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. I'm going to switch gears now. I'm going to switch into mental health. So what made you want to become a therapist?
Ooh. Perfect. So if we transition from when I was getting my degree in education, I started working in schools. So I remember I was working with just youth. I was doing mentoring programs. I was I was coaching. I was working in outside of Cleveland, and the school that I worked at, like it was, you know, one project right here, one project right here, school right in the center, and it was beef between the two. And I remember I would show up to work, and it would be kids who hadn't eaten in a couple of days, or who didn't, you know, want to do their work because their parents got into a fight, or somebody got arrested that day, or somebody was supposed to, you know, come visit them and they didn't, and it would just be a whole bunch going on in their worlds. And I'm over here like, well, but what'd you get for number 3? And it was like it didn't really fit like with what I wanted to do it for. Like again, like I remember the kids who struggled playing sorry, and I wondered, well, how does that affect them in these ways, and these ways, and these ways, and those ways? And it was bigger than just the classroom. So I decided I wanted to get my master's in therapy, but I wanted specifically not only to work with youth, but I wanted to work in schools. So I wanted to be there to be a part of the community in the school, to be able to help them to access the pieces of education that I know that they would be able to if they had a lot more stability outside of the school building. So that was like sort of like my focus, is I really wanted to make an impact, but I didn't want to do it like with just like a 10 client roster. I wanted to have hundreds of clients, and at any day I might have 15 different kids that I have to deal with, or 15 different problems that I have to clean up, or something like that. So it just became very interesting and intriguing to me that I can be like not just like a person who, you know, signs you up for classes, but I'm actually getting to know you. I'm actually helping you. I know your family. I know you know, I might have your little brother and the big brother who I know beef with each other, and now I can be like the glue that kind of pulls them together. Like so it was just an opportunity for me to branch off from what I had originally done the purpose for, which is to help, but to help in a different way that wasn't just like, you know, here's how you read a book, or you know, this is a verb and this is a noun. Like it's like, that's cool, but how do I figure out what I want to do for the rest of my life? How do I figure out what to do when I'm sad? If I want to kill myself, what am I supposed to do in this moment? And it was like, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to stop that. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to jump in on those problems. Now it's bigger than just 1 + 1 = 2.
Get to the deeply rooted issues.
Literally,
you know, instead of being on the surface, you want to help those deeply rooted, because it all stems from home and what's going on from at the home, and then you bring it into the school. Kids spend most of their time, you know, home and then at school. So definitely makes a big change to have somebody like you on campus.
And I feel like, because kind of going back to what I was saying before, is not having a lot of those struggles in my personal growth, like as a kid, I understood that having a clean, like sort of mind as I go into this school building, I might have calculus and I might have physics and I might have Spanish, but because my mind isn't like inundated with all of this negativity and all of these things, like bad thoughts about me or anything like that, like negative self-talk, because I don't have that, did that make it easier for me to excel in these things? Or was it just me personally? And now I'm challenging my own intellect. I'm challenging my own intelligence to say, like, maybe it wasn't just that. Maybe it was just I got lucky that my family didn't have a whole bunch of like bad stuff happening inside of it. Even though we was broke, like it was like that was broke with ethics. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was. So I think like in my mind is I wanted to then say like, all right, these kids aren't like dumb like people might think, or stupid like people might think, or whatever that they not saying, but they are saying, like like veiled. And now I'm like, okay, let me help them to even maximize their capabilities and what they have. So that became like a rallying cry.
That's dope. I love that. That. Sure. Thank you for doing that. We need more people like that. Seriously, in the schools is where it starts.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because a lot of people, they give me like credit and kudos about what I do, and I'm like, you know, I'm really just, I don't do it for me. Like I do it because I think if the world has more healed and healthy people, like it'll be a more healed and healthy place in general. That's right. Like that person who would cut you off won't cut you off because maybe they thinking like, well, it's all right. Like I can use my communication. I don't have to be there like today. It's just like you can process things more before you just do stuff. Absolutely. And I think like if we had more people who were clear in their headspace, they would think through things before, and now you don't have people who are committing certain acts or doing certain things because they feel like that's the only option that they have. They take more time to do stuff.
Well, that's great though, because like when you find out what your purpose is, you know that it's a whole lot greater than yourself to be
Absolutely.
able to give back. So that's what makes it beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying thank you so much, because it's beautiful
Yeah.
just from hearing your story. It just warms my heart.
Thank you. That's really nice of you to say.
You're welcome. So why did you decide to stop being a therapist?
Um, so the hard part about working in schools is there are ceilings.
Mm,
And when you hit certain ceilings, whether it's pay, whether it's access, whether it's power and like ability to affect change,
yeah.
you only get to go into certain rooms when you have certain credentials.
Mm,
And I thought that my path would be better suited in administration. So now I'm doing direct administration work where I'm working with students and I have impacts over everything that's going on in my school setting. It just becomes tougher because um, everything I want to do is through a mental health lens.
right.
But because I'm not in a mental health position, now I have to do a little bit differently. But I still love the fact that I'm still rooted in what I'm doing
Right.
with therapy. It's just in a different capacity. And it's like, my pocketbook is grateful,
Nice.
getting into administration. Like I'm doing better with that. But I also think like when you leave sort of like the teacher or like the personnel sort of like staff role and you get into more of the administrative roles, you can trickle down a little bit more because I'm affecting how the teachers teach. I'm
Right.
affecting how students are disciplined. I'm
Nice.
affecting how parents are spoken to or how parents are engaged. I'm thinking about DEI in terms of
Right.
like how are we doing things as a school community, and I have direct power and influence over those things now, whereas before I can be a suggester, I
Right.
can be a commenter, I can be a hey, like remember this, guys. Like it's like now I'm like, no, we have to make sure that we put this first and foremost. And it's giving me an opportunity to really like on a macro level like
I
do
love that.
stuff, but at the same time I'm not super far from the students, so I
Yeah.
do have the ability to do everything I was doing before at
That's
the
what's
same
up.
time. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So, how do you turn your pain into purpose through your art?
Oh, okay. We going. All right, let me shrug my shoulders on that one. Pain into purpose. I think I have a very good relationship with negativity.
Mm,
Um, Throughout my whole life, I've always been a worker. Like it's like I just wanna get it done.
right.
I don't want to pass it off. I don't want to make excuses. I don't want to avoid it. I want to just get through it. And I think with music, a lot of it is like, how can I channel something that in my mind has 40 chapters? How can I condense that into 3 minutes and 15 seconds that is palatable to the ear?
Right.
How can I make that bounce on the track? Pause. But at the same time, have it be audibly pleasing. Like like it's like it's the ultimate like concision tool that you have
Mm,
like when you're rapping, because you only like with social media these days, like it's very slim opportunities you have to really like get someone's ear.
right.
And I think for that reason, like it's helped me to hone my pen in ways that when I write, I'm like, how can I make this something that somebody else has felt before
Mm,
without it just being like my own individual solo struggle that I've experienced. So I take things that are related to me in my life and things that I've been through, and I really like just like sketch them, and I fill in the lines like very very lightly, and then once it's like I feel like I have it, that's when I use the Sharpie, and that's when I come through with the bold,
mm,
and I make my challenges and my struggles, and I put them right into a format. It's like you go to fine dining and they might give you a one biter, but you don't realize how much time it took to
right.
prep those ingredients and to
Right.
shape that down and to create that foam that you might not even recognize as like a 7 ingredients that came together. So I really just do all of the work. Like the cutting room floor has so much of my tears and so much of my fights and so much
Mm,
of my punching bags that I beat up and knocked off the walls. Like all of that stuff has been shaped in a way that I can give it to you like this, and you can say like, oh yeah, I love this. And I think that that's the work. Like that's why I love it so much, is because it challenges me to be great in my creation process, so that when people hear it, it's like, oh yeah, I fuck with this.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I feel it. I
yeah.
feel it. I feel it. 100%. Yeah.
So the pain is the beauty of the struggle that creates the product that is pretty a lot of the times. Like it's the aesthetic is great, but I want you to understand what it took to come through this, and that's why I love performing. Like my tracks, it's kind of the same thing with poetry. Is it's like if I gave you a written printout of my poem, you might be like, oh, this is cool.
Right.
But when you see me actually do it on the stage, that's when you gonna be like, oh, okay, and you gonna hear it. You gonna hear it with your heart.
Right.
And I think that that's a whole different like walk that you take with me.
Facts. That's what I'm looking for when I'm going to a show. I want to feel it in my heart. You
absolutely.
know, because I done been through some stuff, and that's music has gotten me through. You know, poetry and listening to other people's stories has gotten me through the hard times. You know, just knowing that I'm not alone.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you feel that same way? Do you take that on? It's just like, I'm not alone, and I know my message. I want my message for other people to know that they're not alone.
I think that's my favorite thing is when I remember hearing songs in the 90s, and it would be like girl groups or boy bands or something like that, and they might be saying a specific message to a specific person who they specifically talking to, but it resonates with me, so I can apply it to my own life and my own relationships and my own people that I know who fit that bill. And it's like that to me is like when you really have mastered creativity, because it's like I can give you a narrative of everything that I've gone through, but how does that apply to you? How do you feel like it makes you want to listen to it over and over? Like, because again, like I see a lot of people's performances, they rooted in like trauma and negativity, and they go in and it's like, okay, that's cool, and I'm never gonna come back to that ever again, because it's just like it's too heavy. It's just like it's too much. Like I don't want to cruise down the street listening to that.
Right.
But it's like for me, the creativity is when I can take that same exact idea and I can package it up. You know, it's like a Lunchable. And like I get a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of that and put it together, and it's magic. But if I ate like the actual bologna meat that came with the Lunchable is not good, or the cheese is not good, or you know the cracker, like, but when you put it together, something magical happens. And it's like that's like a lot of like why I want to do it that way, because I want it to be palatable for everybody, even if they haven't walked in my shoes. Like I'm not trying to be like the person who the white folks is hearing, you know, G Unit and saying, you know, you know, like from that and in, like I don't want it to be something where people can create a caricature of me from, but I want it to be something that you can understand where I come from and what I've been through, but also like apply it to your own life.
That's right. That's right. That's what's up. So,
Sure.
What does mental health mean to you today?
Everything. I am so good in my spirit, and I think that it translates to everything I do. It translates to how I walk. It translates to how I hold my head. It translates to how I dress. Like if my mindset was any more positive, I don't know who I would be. And I think like it's just like it's rough sometimes, because I sit and hold people's traumas all day, and I throw them in the trash after I'm done with them, because it's like I don't want this. Like I don't want this. Like this is bad. And for me, like having a good set of friends, a good group of people around me, having accountability in myself, pushing accountability for the people who are around as well, it just makes everything better. And I think when you are struggling with your mental health, it no matter how much you think you're not, it's affecting the people around you. And I know having good mentals, I'm creating positivity around my aura, like the people who are in my orbit and my clouds, like they're picking up pieces of everything that I put down, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise in their lives. I want them to be able to like, hey, come on, like come with me, like we just gonna chill today, like we just gonna do something good, and it permeates. It just makes it so you can't fight how good things are when you want to look at things as good. Like I've had so many struggles with my performances, where I was holding myself to this very like disproportionate sort of like weight of if I mess up one, I'm telling you, if I mess up one word in a performance, I could be done. People could be coming up to me, asking me for my social media, asking me for, like, you know, if they could collab with me. And I would say, why? Like, I messed up. I didn't do good.
Wow.
I failed. And like, I had to understand like how that translates to everything around me. And now it's like everything is good.
Right.
When I work with my students, everything is good. When I see my friends, everything is good. When I'm, you know, like just in the world, I'm walking around, you know, and it's not because every single moment is good. It's just the net moments are positive. Like,
Right.
I don't have any bad days.
Right.
Like, even if like I've had bad shit happen and it's still not a bad day,
Right.
because afterwards I'm gonna go roll up a joint, smoke some, listen to some music, talk to my friends, play the game or something, and it's like I'm gonna turn it into something good. I'm
That's
not gonna
right.
go to sleep sad. I'm not gonna go to sleep angry.
That's right.
Yeah.
So with that, you do carry a lot of heavy stuff at school,
Yeah.
you know, listening to a lot of trauma, I'm sure.
Right.
How do you care for yourself? What type of self-care tools do you utilize to get you through that? Because I know you said you're positive.
Yep.
You hit the weed a little bit.
Absolutely. A lot of
you
bit.
know, but still, you know, there's other things. A lot of people, you know, because you really have to be well-rounded
Yeah.
in areas like that to keep yourself so that those negative feelings don't attach to you.
For sure. I think the thing that I've just been blessed with, and this is just I think just in the work, because vicarious trauma is like is a real thing. Like,
Right.
talking to people about bad things, naturally you think bad things.
Right.
And I've just been blessed with the idea that I know purpose. Like, it's like I know how much I can affect, and I know how much I can affect, and I know that the things that I can affect are very, like, plentiful. Like, most of the things that happen throughout the day, I don't have a big effect on. So I think, like, for me, I just really, really focus on what I have control over.
Right.
Like discernment in my life is like probably the greatest skill. When I have a situation where a student is coming in to me and they, like, I remember I was in the first school I worked at in Atlanta, like, you know, I had to be there for a girl who was 15 who found out she was having triplets. I had to be there when somebody who had contracted HIV as a teenager. Like, I had this girl who her whole family had gone to Princeton, and she said, I only am gonna apply to Princeton. And we was like, you sure you don't wanna, you know, Princeton cool, but you could, no, only Princeton. And I had to be there when she found out she didn't get into Princeton.
Yeah,
and it was like
tough.
just being there in those moments, and it's just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I just rooted myself, and it was like, what can I do? What can I say? Nothing I'm saying is going to actually fix the problem. Nothing I'm saying is going to actually change anything. So it's like, okay, what do I do? What can I do? What would make somebody feel better in that situation? And it was like, I just focused on that.
Right.
And I think it just makes everything so much easier. It makes me to have just way more like opportunity to positively impact. And I think that that's the thing that stops me from dying on other people's heels. Like, I know, like, the consequences ain't mine. So if you do this and that happens, it's like, I tried to steer you away from that, but when that happens and you come back to me crying, I'm not going to, I told you so. I'm not going to blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to make you feel worse. I'm not going to kick you while you're down. I'm just going to say, okay, this happened. Now what we going to do now?
Right.
And I think that keeps my mindset always on present and future. Like, I'm not stuck in the past for anything. And all of these things that I'm experiencing are the past. So it's like, I understand, like, that nothing we're going to do is, like, unless we get a time machine and we can travel back, nothing I do is going to stop that from happening.
Right.
So now it's like, what can we do to improve? What can we do to fix? What can we do to help? That's the main thing I do with work and, like, the things that I mean, outside of that, I do yoga pretty much every day. Smoke a lot of bud. I
drink a lot of
I
water.
write. I drink water and mind my business. You know, like, that's my favorite.
That's what's up.
And I think it's just like, I just really try to just maximize my capacity. What can I do? What can I affect positively?
Right. That's right. That's right. I'm going to switch gears to life and legacy.
Let's do it.
What do you want people to feel after hearing your story?
I think when people hear my story, I want you to understand that you can pivot at any point you want to pivot.
That's right.
Because literally, I'm right about to start college. A year before I start college, switch gears completely. I get out of college. I started teaching for a couple of years. Switch gears completely.
Right.
I went to Atlanta. I was in Atlanta for grad school. Everything was saying, oh, stay here. You can get this job. You can get that job. You can work here. You can work there. Switch gears completely. I'm going to go to California.
Right.
I'm in San Diego for a year. I didn't like it as much. Switch gears, moved to LA. I didn't like it as much. Switch gears, moved to the Bay. I was working in San Francisco. I didn't like it. Switch gears, worked in Berkeley. And now I'm like potentially like trying to move back to the East Coast. Like, it's like all of these things that I'm doing in my life is like when I reach a point where I feel like something is not serving me, I move.
Right.
I make movements.
Right.
I don't stay. I don't blame nobody else. I don't make excuses. I just move. And it's like, not move like literal move, but I mean
Right.
like I just do something with it. Like when something in my spirit is telling me that I'm not feeling the best that I could feel, I do actions.
Absolutely.
And I think like that's what I want people to know. Again, poetry. Right. Was serving me, wasn't serving me, was serving me, wasn't serving me. My friend told me about, hey, y'all want to do this, and he's saying it to a bunch of people who didn't rap. So I'm like, yeah, nigga, I got
right.
you. Like,
right.
Put me in the booth, bro.
Right.
And it's like, as soon as I did that, I started loving it. And it's like every time I've felt something and I've moved in that direction, I've gotten something out of it. So anything I would say from people is like, don't stay stagnant. Don't get stuck in the weeds. Don't get stuck in the mud, quicksand, all of that. Like, move.
Yeah.
Like, think it through, create a plan and a vision, and go with it. Like, don't be afraid of it.
Right. That's right.
Absolutely.
It's gonna change, but it's okay. You got to keep moving. You got to keep pushing for sure.
Always.
What legacy are you hoping to leave behind?
You know, I'm a cool ass nigga from Cleveland, man, and I feel like that's legitimately like how I want people to feel about like themselves. Is I have confidence, but I'm not arrogant that much. Like, and then I feel like I'm proud of myself, but I also hold myself to a higher standard. So it's like wherever people see me, I want to see myself growing and growing and growing. So each thing that I'm doing is trying to elevate while also appreciating where I am at that moment. So my legacy is just like, we all gonna die and we all gonna be forgotten about in some way. So it's like, I don't care as much about legacy as a lot of people would, but I think like if it was something that I wanted to leave behind, is just the idea that, whenever you want to do something, like, do it. Like, it's like that same, going back to the previous question, it's like I spent a lot of time, because I'm multi-dimensional, like in sports, like in performing and all of that stuff. Like I've done stand-up, I've done acting, I've done writing, I've done hosting, I've so many, like I've done poetry, I've sang, like I've rapped, like all of these things, and I felt so constricted because I'm like, I have to pick one. I can't be a poet who sings. I can't be a rapper who acts. I can't be and then I'm like, man, like, why can't I?
Right, why not?
And I spent so many years like, well, which one do I want to pick? Which one do I want to do? Which one do I want to do? Which one do I don't do? And then time just kept going. And it's like, you can't sit there and perfect yourself on one day. Like you'll never reach that vision in one day. So it's like, over time, I just wanted to get better and get stronger. And now that I'm at this point in my life where I feel confident, real confident, I just go.
That's
like,
right.
And that's my legacy, is like, just work.
Just
like,
work.
Whatever
that's
you want to do, actually do it. Work.
Yeah, take that chance.
For sure.
If you want to say a poem, say a poem. If you want to act. If you want to play basketball,
hoop.
Play basketball.
That's
Drop
what I'm 30.
About. That's right. That's right.
You know
That's right.
Like,
well, thank you so much. I love hearing your story. I'm excited that you came. I want to see what you do with your album.
For sure.
What do you have coming up next? Do you have another show coming up?
I mean, shows are. I'm offered a lot of shows from friends and stuff like that. I want to do more of my own shit, so I'm trying to like say no a little bit more, and yes to the things that I really want to say yes to, and not think about the financials or not think about like the platform or the space. But I think like shows right now are kind of secondary. I really want to get this album out. Like, I have an album coming out. It's called My Ode to Wrestling. As a kid, I really loved wrestling, so it's helping me to describe my own personal life experience through the lens of how pro wrestling kind of like existed in my life. So it's gonna be a full cinematic album with songs and poetry and some special things in there too. So that's coming out hopefully next month. That's my goal. You know, February. I'm sorry, February. Oh damn. April.
That's right.
420.
That's right.
I had too much 420 to think about,
yes.
but I'm trying to drop it on 420 if I can. Shout out Rihanna. Shout out everybody. Shout out my peoples.
That's right. Shout out your peoples.
Yeah,
I love it.
Shout out Heath for the visuals for Smooth. Smooth is my single that's coming out in a couple of weeks. I'm getting ready to drop that. Shout out Mac. Shout out Kate. Shout out Jordan.
That's what's up.
Yeah, shout out everybody who was there. Trey, my boy Bo came through in the Bentley. We had the Bentley at the photo shoot.
That's
at the video
right.
shoot.
That's right.
For sure.
That's what's up. So where can people find you?
Oh, yes. Fuck with me. You can find me at C Reese Music on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you. If you wanted to follow me on or if you want to subscribe to my channel on YouTube, it's C Reese Music with a 1. Also, I got an X Twitter, but I'm about to get rid of it because it's toxic. But that's C Reese Music with a 1 as well. Spotify, I've only got one song on there right now until I drop my album, which is Smooth. Go stream it, run them numbers up. All of that. Not it wasn't 6-7, but anyway. Yeah. So
that's what's
fuck
up.
with me.
That's what's up.
I'll be in Oakland. I could be other places. You know what I mean?
That's right. I appreciate you for coming on. I really do. I really do. Until next time, check yourself, check your mental health.
All day.